One of the most common issues I see is for, let's say you're using Stripe or a similar service like that, and they withhold their fee before they send it over to your bank account. Not reconciling that when those deposits are made. So let's say it was a $10,000 invoice, Stripe took their 2.9%, they took whatever that is, $290 and sent you the net the 9,710 bucks. If you only record the $9,710 because that's all that hit your bank account, you're technically shorting revenue and obviously shorting expense. Like it nets to the same number, but at the end of the year, and especially for taxes, Stripe is going to report to the IRS the gross amount of all those credit card transactions. They are not going to report the net. So if you only report the net on all those transactions, you're going to get a notice from the IRS saying that you've underreported income, even though your net income is still the same number. They only have the gross income in that situation. So that's one piece that I always look at for business owners. If the owner is taking distributions for different purposes, so they're taking like their normal owner's draw, I like to have that as its own category on the balance sheet. If they're making payments for their taxes through the business account, I like to have that as a separate line. So again, as you're tracking these different, it's like, oh, well, I'm only going to make those quarterly payments 4 times a year, but I'm going to make, a withdrawal every 2 weeks or once a month for my normal, profit distributions. I like having those kind of things, separated out to make it a little bit easier to see them when you are looking at those reports. And then beyond that, there are obviously different, depending on what other platforms you're using for different services like payroll, credit cards, billing with vendor, so like bill.com, Melio, those kind of services, is making sure that if you are going to sync those together and you're not going to manually enter those transactions, that again, it's reporting the gross value of all of them and then any pieces that are being deducted. So some of the apps and things like that that are out there that are in like the QuickBooks App Store, for instance, don't always do a great job with that, or they'll duplicate entries, or it'll report the gross, but then the bank account transaction that comes in is a net, and those won't get synced together. So then that transaction ends up in there twice. So that's where the reconciliation process becomes really important to make sure that you don't have duplicate transactions and that you're accounting for everything there.